Good morning to everybody attending this session. We, the students of grade 9, along with the help of grade 10, are presenting you the Youth Parliament. A youth parliament is basically recreating what happens in a parliament, but for a short duration and different topics. We hope you enjoy it.
Kindly arise, arrival of the speaker.
Conference in session. Members to take the oath or affirmation.
An oath of office is an oath of affirmation a person takes before assuming the duties of an office, usually a position in government or within a religious body, although such oath is sometimes required of officers of other organizations.
Secretary General, please proceed.
Yes, sir. Srimati Bhumika, who stands elected as a member of opposition, will now take the oath of affirmation.
Madam, would you like to take an oath of affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take the oath of affirmation?
In English, please. I, Bhumika, have been elected a member of Lower House of Youth Parliament, do swear in the name of God that I will bear the true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter. Thank you.
Secretary General, please proceed with the next member to take the oath or affirmation.
Yes, sir. Srimati Shreya Lingaraju, who stands elected as a member of the government, will now take the oath of affirmation.
Madam, would you like to take the oath of affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take the oath in?
In Sanskrit, please. Aham Bharati Yadavah Lokasabhaya Sadasyah Devana Nirvachita Nischayena Paramevarasya Nama Nasheye Yada Aham Vidina Stapitam Bharatasyam Samvidhanam Prati Satyam Shraddham Nishtam Cha Dharayasche Yada Aham Bharatasya Sampurna Prabhutva Sampannatam Akhandatam Cha Rakshasyam Tatha Yada Padam Gruhanato Na Aham Udyata Asmi Tatya Karpayani Shraddha Purvaka Nirvakshayami.
The question hour is the first hour of a sitting session of India's Lok Sabha devoted to questions that members of parliament raise about any aspect of administrative activity. The concerned minister is obliged to answer to the parliament either orally or in writing, depending on the type of question raised. We will now be moving on to the same.
Now we will be moving on to the question hour session. Question number 1, Mr. Suraj.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Education Minister Mr. Talwalkar, since 1976, reservations in education have been granted based on religion, caste, and creed. It was earlier believed that certain groups of society were quote-unquote oppressed and so deserved special facilities or reservations to keep their culture and livelihood alive. Though I fully agree that this step worked wonders in the early years of its introduction, India has been free for nearly 73 years now as of August 2020, and today this unilateral system is biased and unnecessary. Today, a whopping 64% of all seats in higher education are under the reserved category. Economically poor forward castes do not benefit at all from this caste-based reservation system when they too are in need of support to progress in life. Providing reservations and educational assurance with exceptionally low entry-level marks for some and not for others goes against our Constitution's foremost fundamental right, that all citizens are equal before the law. My question to you, sir, is why hasn't the cabinet raised this issue at all for the past 6 years, let alone taken any action against this injustice? Why aren't education reservations based on economic status rather than caste?
Honorable Education Minister.
Sir, the caste-based reservation system is a way to compensate for the thousands of years of oppression that the backward caste faced. There has been absolutely no reason for raising this issue at all for the past 6 years, as the party strongly feels that this system has potential and scope to improve the lives of many people. There will be no compromises made on this for both political reasons and collective national interests. That will be all, Honorable Speaker, sir.
I'm not sure you heard me right, Mr. Talwalkar. It was never a question of whether your government approves or not. This is a major violation of our citizens' fundamental right. I thought a minister such as yourself was supposed to work for the people, not for yourself. Now,
Mr.
do you realize the
Suraj,
gravity of the mistake you're making now?
please maintain the decorum. You have said your part. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. Mr. Nunna, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, will the Defense Minister be pleased to state whether the government has signed defense agreements with various countries, including France, to ensure the security of the border of the country during the last 3 years? In that case, the details of the same. Next, the details of the defense products made by the government under the Make India program.
Honorable Defense Minister.
Yes, the government has signed defense agreements with various countries, which include Australia, Bangladesh, Brunei, Chile, Fiji, Japan, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Maldives, Mauritius, Myanmar, Mongolia, Oman, Pakistan, Philippines, Russia, Singapore, Spain, Sudan, Tanzania, Turkmenistan, UAE, USA, Vietnam, with addition to France. My answer to the second question. Over the last 2 years, several products have been manufactured in India under the Make in India program, like the HAL Tejas Light Combat Aircraft, Composite Sonar Dome, a portable telemedicine system for armed forces, penetration cum blast, and thermobaric ammunition specifically designed for Arjun tanks, a heavyweight torpedo called Varun Shastra, manufactured with 95% locally sourced parts, and medium-range surface-to-air missiles.
Sir, please give us some insights on whether the government has any proposal to set up a defense corridor in Uttarakhand, and if so the case, the details of the same, and the present condition of the defense corridors being set up in our country.
Yes, the government has proposals to set up defense industrial corridor in Uttarakhand. A total of 5,125 hectares of land has been proposed for 6 nodes of corridors spread across Lucknow, Kanpur, Chitrakoot, Aligarh, Agra, Jhansi districts. The development of the corridor is being handled by the UP Expressways Industrial Development Authority. The defense corridor is hoping to play a key role in meeting the needs of the Indian Navy. This will include spare equipment of the Indian Navy ships and also spare ammunition for Navy submarines and ships like torpedoes.
Sir, taking a stroll down the memory lane, India has also signed a defense agreement with China, but yet fails to keep peaceful ties with them. What is this issue here, sir? Is your government not competent enough to give proper orders for Javans and maintain peace with our neighbor?
For your kind information, Mr. Nunna, the Chinese foreign minister has said that they have removed all temporary structures and troops from the face-off side in eastern Ladakh. I think there's a sign of progress. So next time, Mr. Nunna, be more updated with the news.
Moving on to the next question. Question number 3. Mr. Robin, please proceed.
Honorable Speaker, sir, thank you. I would like to know the basis on which the citizens are being tested for COVID-19, that is, when they travel interstate. We have been observing that the number of ventilators in the hospitals and quarantine centers are really low. Can we have data on the same? Why is that the quarantine period is very less or none in some states, and the details of the quarantine procedures also to be stated, please? Thank you.
Sir, I would like to start by stating that the quarantine basis is on the performance according to each state's testing per million rate and the rate of positive COVID-19 cases as of the population. Testing is done using rapid antibody test kits. RT-PCR test kits are used for confirmation when the rapid antibody test kit reports a sample negative, as they are not foolproof. Thermal screening of every passenger is ensured, and if symptomatic, they are quarantined for a minimum of 7 days. The maximum period allowed can be up to 18 days. The Health Ministry has procured about 60,000 ventilators only for COVID-19 patients, and 96% of the ventilators have been funded by money acquired in the PM CARES program, which is around rupees 2,000 crores, by the way. These ventilators have been installed in 700 hospitals around the country, and around 18,000 ventilators have been supplied to the state so far. There is no shortage of ventilators as of now. And yes, the quarantine period is very less in some states as the TPM rate is quite low and the number of symptomatic patients are quite less too. The quarantine period in the respective states shall be extended if the number of positive cases increase. As far as we know, there is no state in which there is an absence of quarantine for any traveling citizen. If so, we will ensure that the state's hospitals and quarantine centers are doing their jobs efficiently and that the citizens are self-isolated for a proper basis for the welfare of the country. Thank you.
A special mention is yet another device through which a member can raise an issue of public importance in the House.
We will now be moving on to the special mention session. Honorable HRD Minister, please.
Respected Speaker, recruiting qualified staff is indicated as one of the biggest human resource challenges in the social enterprise space. Many social enterprises are growing and hence are on the constant lookout for qualified employees. Given that they are perceived to be riskier and less well paid compared to traditional organizations, they tend to struggle with attracting the finest talent. This challenge is further emphasized by the limited availability of talent to social enterprises. This indicates that social enterprises possibly struggle to create a strong layer of middle managers.
Noted. Give me a motion to discuss this in the House.
Finance Minister, Mr. Robin, if you may.
Wealth management is a great challenge in the finance sector. Indian consumers are still oblivious to structured schemes of investment and remain dependent on saving techniques. Banks are still their bulk money managers and buying gold is still their way to invest. This issue is not just with the mindset. Brokerage firms have failed to reach out to their potential customers.
Thank you for raising this issue. We'll surely look into it.
Minister of External Affairs, kindly proceed.
Respected Speaker, sir, India's heavy reliance on fossil fuels, especially crude oil, to meet its ever-growing energy needs will continue to be a difficult conundrum for the country for at least 2 more decades to come. If the oil demand and production projections made in the 3 most cited energy sector publications by International Energy Agency and Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries are to be believed, India is projected to have the fastest average demand growth of 3.7% per annum. The report estimates oil to continue to remain the second largest source of fuel for the country. Coal will continue to remain the largest source of energy for India through 2040, with its share increasing to 46.4% in 2040 from 44.9% in 2015. Crude oil production estimates made by WOO show that India's oil output will decrease to 0.4 millions of barrels per day in 2040 from 0.7 millions of barrels per day in 2017. Indicating an increase in India's crude oil imports through 2040.
A member may, with the prior permission of the Speaker, call the attention of a minister to a matter of urgent public importance and request him to make a statement herein. For those of you who may have guessed it right, yes, the calling attention session is in motion.
Respected members of this House, I am bringing to attention this urgent matter which needs to be worked on now. The doctors and engineers who are graduating this year, how can we ensure their quality and enterprise? With this pandemic not allowing doctors and engineers to do practicals, how can we ensure their depth of knowledge in their field? This is an army of doctors who will be graduating this year. How do we know that they can perform surgeries? How do you know that they can identify the illness first, let alone heal it without proper training? This is of grave concern, and our incompetent government doesn't even have a plan for this.
Sir, we have taken certain measures. Students will have live sessions with other experienced doctors. The teachers will perform the practicals and the students will see the procedure through the online class so that they can get familiar with the procedure. Not to mention, after they graduate, they will get employed as doctors, but will not work on surgeries and operations since they do not have the experience of doing it. They will be kept as interns and will have to work under the supervision of other experienced and qualified doctors. These students will have to attend supplementary classes by professionals and also work as interns. Clearly, this way, they can gain experience and knowledge of practicals and also earn money at the same time. After a period of 6 months,
students having interactive visual practical sessions does not help them gain practical knowledge, as seeing someone doing a particular task doesn't give you the ability to do the same task. For example, in case of doctors, seeing someone bisect a frog's body without harming a single organ doesn't give the students the ability to bisect a frog without cutting a single organ. All these tasks require hands to gain experience. Calling a few students to college may double the time taken to teach, which will then lead to wastage of time. For example, if half the people are called on day 1 and the rest half are called on day 2, then the maximum time taken to complete the syllabus will double, i.e. 4th year college would take 2 years to be completed.
All the solution and measures are best for now when compared to the situation. So this will be implemented.
Legislative proposals are brought before either House of the Parliament of India in the form of a bill. A bill is a draft of a legislative proposal which, when passed by both Houses of Parliament and assented to by the President, becomes an act of Parliament. Bills can be introduced either by a minister or by a private member. In the former case, it is known as a government bill, and in the latter case, it is called a private member's bill.
Honorable HRD Minister to introduce the bill.
Sir, I beg to move for leave to introduce the Accreditation Procedures for Educational Institutions Act 2020 bill.
The leave be granted to introduce the Bill of Accreditation Procedures for Educational Institutions Act 2020. Those who are in favor will say aye.
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 Those against will say no.
No.
I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Leave is granted.
Sir, I introduce the bill.
Now the House will take consideration of the Accreditation Procedures for Educational Institutions Act 2020 bill. Minister, please.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the bill to increase the passing percentage of educational institutions and also to increase the quality of teaching at the same time. Sir, our education system is one of the best in the world. However, quality is reducing. Over the years, looking at the statistics, the rate of passing percentage has deteriorated. This can be because our students are not concentrating much. However, there is a high chance that the quality of teaching has also reduced. The educational institutions should be assessed periodically, and if they are not able to deliver quality education, their accreditation should be cancelled. This bill is to make sure that certain norms and procedures are followed by the institutions and the desired outcomes are achieved. Failing to that, the accreditation would be cancelled. Therefore, with a view to providing proper guidelines for a proper assessment, I suggest the following provisions. First, the bill suggests the assessment of the institutions on the basis of the yearly result, student placement, yearly percentage, and rate of increase of enrollment. Second, the bill also lays down procedures for setting up special assessment agencies to accomplish the task. Third, the bill suggests a concession period of 3 months to rectify errors in their system and to come up with a concrete action plan for the shortcomings. Fourth, for certain specific shortcomings, a penalty can be imposed on the institutions, but the institutions will not be able to increase the fee to compensate for the penalty.
Madam, I am confident that all honorable members, irrespective of their party affiliation, will wholeheartedly accept this bill to help our education system. With these words, I move Accreditation Procedures for Educational Institutions Act 2020, having taken all scenarios into consideration. Srimati Asmita Deb, kindly proceed.
Sir, it is with mixed feeling that I have to address this august House. This bill is a great way to improve the passing percentage in institutions and the overall quality of education. The assessment of institutions will indeed prove to be efficient. The 3-month concession period will assist in the organizing of upcoming affairs. Also, the restriction on increasing fees will ensure that the institutions will not take this if-pass law for granted and increase the fees whenever they are given the notice of breaking this if-pass law. However, sir, I have found many loopholes in this bill. One most important loophole I found in this bill is that some institutions are not financially strong, meaning they don't have much money to begin with, and they need to survive with whatever money they get through the fees. The money you ask from them, what if they don't have this kind of money? What if they can't give the government this kind of money? What then? To respected members of the parliament, I propose an amendment for this bill. My amendment is to add another provision to this bill, which will state the amount of money an educational institution needs to pay will vary depending on their financial capability. Therefore, while I support this idea of bringing forward this bill, I also have to state that this bill should be suitably amended before it is passed.
Fellow member of opposition, I agree with your point of view. We have to accept the fact that some of our country's educational institutions are not financially stable and hence are dependent on such provisions, and therefore adding this provision is indeed necessary. I suggest we carry this amendment forward.
Srimati Ishita Chatterjee, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sir, I rise to support this bill. This bill looks towards the betterment of our education system. Our country needs to be able to compete with other countries in the fields of science, math, and much more. And for this, our students need to learn better, understand better, and do better. For this, the quality of education should be better. However, I am inclined to notice another loophole in this bill. Sir, although the bill is made for the betterment of the educational system, what is the government going to do in situations like these? By these, I mean situations similar to COVID, a critical case where we are faced to teach and learn online. It can also be a situation where the teachers keep leaving and joining the school. When there is no consistency of the teachers, how would you think there would be consistency in teaching? How would you think there is consistency in the passing marks? I strongly believe this bill is very unnecessary as the outcome is dependent on the students and not the teachers. Therefore, I discourage this House from passing this bill. Thank you, sir.
Respected Speaker, sir. In critical situations like these, there are certain drawbacks in education. However, completely rejecting this bill will not help in any way. I understand the problem of the inconsistency of teaching, but that is exactly why the first and third provisions are being introduced in the bill. The government has introduced the new national education policy as well, which will indeed improve the condition of students and the percentage of passing marks. In addition to this, the bill is going to come into effect only after the current pandemic, which is pretty obvious. And it goes without saying that this bill, if passed, will be imposed in times of crisis.
What nonsense. We don't know what the government might do. They say something and do something else. The worst part is we don't even know when the government blunders its part because it's too scared to own up its own mistakes.
I never knew the opposition had such a sense of humor. We have brought great, if not revolutionary changes in our country for the better. This is why, my friend, we are the government and you are the goddamn opposition.
What revolutionary breakthrough have you accomplished apart from
you can go and rant whatever you want. We all know the opposition's capacity to run a
Please maintain order. You both are representatives. Behave accordingly. Now the question is the bill to increase the passing percentage of educational institutions and also to increase the quality of teaching at the same time be taken into consideration. Those who are in favor will say aye.
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 Those against it will say no.
No.
I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Now the question is that the clause 1 to 4 stands part of the bill. Those who are in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those against will say no.
No.
The motion is adopted. Clause 1 to 4 stands part of the bill. There is one amendment to add another clause by Srimati Asmita Deb. Madam, are you moving the amendment?
Yes, sir. I'm pressing this amendment.
Now the question is that the amount of money an educational institution needs to pay will vary depending on their financial capability be taken into consideration. Those who are in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those against will say no.
No.
This amendment is adopted. Amendment to add another clause stands part of the bill. There is one more amendment by Srimati Ishita Chatterjee. Madam, are you moving it?
No, sir. In view of the reply given by HRD, I do not want to move this amendment.
Minister for Human Resource Department, please.
Sir, I move the bill be passed.
Motion moved that the bill is passed. Those who are in favor will please say aye.
Aye.
Those against it may please say no.
No.
I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. With this, we are looking for motions on the floor, preferably one to adjourn the meeting. Honorable Home Minister, please proceed.
Yes, sir. I, Arvind Padumangla, would like to raise a motion to adjourn the meeting for the day.
Motion in session. Those in favor kindly.
Aye.
Aye.
Those against. Seeing an overwhelming majority, the motion passes. I now adjourn the 223rd session of Lok Sabha until tomorrow morning.
In parliamentary procedure, an adjournment ends a meeting. It could be done using a motion to adjourn. A time for another meeting could be set using the motion to fix the time at which to adjourn. To adjourn to another time or place defines suspended proceedings until a later stated time or place. With that, we conclude today's session of the Youth Parliament. We hope you found this helpful and informative. We will also be sharing a feedback form. Please do respond. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.